Okay, and here we go. So we are live again. So welcome, welcome to another episode of Random Tan Experience. I'm Jeff, and
I'm Liz,
and we are Jeff and Liz Tan. The Tans and the Random Tan. I'm just getting this here to. Anyway, my monitor screen's not working right now, but that's all right. So hopefully you guys can see us okay. And welcome to this edition of Random Tan Experience. I think I said that already. So tonight we are going to talk about an interesting age group of kids. And I know that a lot of parents, in different circles that we're in, are hitting this stage for the first time. And this is the tween stage. All right. So that's specifically, that's the ages between 10 and 13, or the middle school years, as some people call it.
Yeah.
So, and this is an interesting age of kids, and it's actually more relevant for tween girls as it is for boys. And it's because, girls tend to mature faster than boys, so between 10 and 12, girls tend to hit several stages of maturity much faster than boys. And that dynamic actually creates a few problems in and of itself.
And the thing to be careful with, particularly with this age, is that it's often the age where they get forgotten. Mm-hmm. They're pretty self-sufficient. They can clothe themselves and feed themselves. They can, go and fix themselves whatever they want from the fridge, but they still really need attention. And they're not at the stage where they're necessarily really acting out rebellion that teens often hit. So they kind of fly under the radar. So you've really got to make it a conscious effort to stay plugged into them.
And, needing, we might not see it, but then, needing lots of affirmation and emotions can be really volatile, like you could be, mm-hmm. doing what, so you could say one thing, and then all of a sudden, it leads into a flurry of, emotion, mm-hmm. Unexpected. And you might not even be aware, of what you might have said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would say that although there's a lot of aspects of this age group that are really, really easily talked about for us from girls, often at this age, boys are really emotional, I find. Mm-hmm. And that's, they're starting to hit some hormonal changes sometimes in that age range. It hasn't really expressed itself physically. A lot of them haven't really hit a growth spurt that you can see, but their emotions, I find, tend to be really close to the surface around that age.
Mm-hmm. So some of the challenges I know that parents have in this day and age, trying to, bring up their tween girls, from everything from trying to find appropriate clothes. I mean, I don't know how many times I see on Facebook, people frustrated on the lack of appropriate clothing there is out there for
girls in that age range.
Yeah, for girls in that age range. And not to mention, there's the influence of the media, teaching girls what to think. There's all sorts of studies out there that have linked the clothing size, the relationship with the clothing size that somebody wears to a young girl's self-esteem. Well, to women's self-esteem, period, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the crazy thing is that it's clothing sizes are completely artificial.
Arbitrary. Totally arbitrary.
Yeah, they're totally arbitrary, right? Somebody decides in one clothing company that this is a size 7. Well, a size 7 in one company might be, a size 10 in another, right? So, there's no consistency, between clothing companies in terms of what the sizes are, but are, there's a,
but there's a tendency to label, particularly for women, there's a tendency to label ourselves by our size.
Exactly.
So we walk into a store and we think, okay, so I'm a size X, whatever X is for you, whether it's a 2 or a 10. And you tend to categorize yourself that way. And so the challenge here is, as girls at this age are starting to shop for themselves and they're starting to look at the stuff that's in the store and pay attention to it, it's really key to send the message that this is arbitrary and it doesn't actually have any correlation with their reality or their worth.
Yeah. And, so how do we navigate this as parents? So how do we navigate this age, as parents? And, just so full disclosure, okay, out of our 9 kids, 2 now are well into their teens. And, we've got, and we also have now Matthias, who is really coming to the end of his tweens, and Kira, who is coming into the beginning of her tweens, right? But also too, from what I observed in my years as a youth minister, and also in my years as a teacher, teaching grade 7 and 8, both boys and girls, over the years, I've really noticed some really consistent things that we can do to help navigate our kids through this time, through this time, what we can do as parents. So first of all, one of the things that, so when I was a youth minister, I noticed that there were 2 types of girls, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of family situation, and one group of girls would do well, in the face of adversity, in the face of all sorts of challenges, that they would really do well. And and then another group of girls, broken, wounded is a really good term to say. In my years as a youth minister, I encountered lots of wounded girls, and so over the years of forming friendships with these with these people, finding out some of the consistent things in their situations that that led them to be where they were. And in all cases, the girls who did well all had a male figure in their life that taught them that they deserve to be respected, by everybody. Okay. But especially by men, right? So that they deserve to be respected, and the girls that missed out on this lesson, that didn't have that opportunity, that didn't have that positive male figure in their life, they were very wounded. A lot of them ending up, in terribly dysfunctional relationships, inappropriate relationships, seeking out, male attention. So again, and I say this a lot, dads, you have a really important role. You have a really, really important role in bringing up your kids, but especially your girls. They are going to learn how, they're going to learn what they can expect as an adult, as an adult woman, right? They're going to learn what they can expect by the way that you treat their mom, so that,
and the way that you treat them,
right? So that's a really, really important thing. When I was a teacher, and when I was, and even as a parent, one of the things that I really try to communicate to my kids is that we are all created in the image and likeness of God. And that comes right from Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, right? That God created humankind in his image and likeness, male and female, he created them. And so what does that mean? It means we are all created in the image of God. God does not make junk, right? God does not make junk, you know, and, you know, we have a thing here at our house, you know, in, you know, all the mirrors on the first floor anyway, you know, I put up this little sign, God's image, you know, Genesis 1:27. So every time you look in the mirror, you know, anytime they look in the mirror, they see this little sign that says God's image to remind them that, you know, they're really looking at the image and likeness of God. Mm-hmm. So that's a little subtle thing that, you know, that we do, you know, and teaching them that they deserve to be treated with respect, not just treated with respect by others, but also by themselves, you know, and this is still a problem with adults, our own self-talk, right? The way that we talk to ourselves, you know, it would be horrifically inappropriate, you know, to talk to somebody else the way that we talk to ourselves about ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, if somebody else was speaking to us in that way, you know, that would not be good, right? That would not be a good. Yet we allow ourselves to put ourselves down. You know, we allow ourselves to put ourselves, you know, to speak negatively about ourselves. You know, oh, I'm such a dummy. Oh, I'm such a, you know, whatever, right? Insert whatever
adjective you like.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And the human mind operates in such a way that it will multiply whatever you give it. So the way you plant seeds, you can plant corn, or you could plant poison of some kind, and the earth will grow whatever you put in it. You're going to water it. You're going to let it have sun. You're going to get whatever it needs, fertilizer. It's going to grow whatever you put in it. And your mind works the same way. So whatever you feed it, that becomes the soundtrack. That becomes the playback that you hear. And it's going to amplify and multiply through everything, through all of your endeavors.
Exactly. So
and you start to believe it.
That's it, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, so you become the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. You know, you become really what you feed yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You become what you feed yourself. So, you know, what are our responsibilities as parents? Okay. What can we do as parents? Well, number 1, be aware of what our daughters are surrounding themselves with. Okay. And make sure that, you know, you tell them, you know, or you make it very clear, this is not good. This is not healthy for you. Right.
And be aware, particularly as moms, be aware of the way you speak about yourself to your daughters or in front of your daughters. So if you're putting yourself down when you look at yourself in the mirror, how are your daughters going to look at themselves? They're going to learn to criticize themselves when they look at themselves in the mirror, because that's what they see as the example.
Right. And, you know, speaking of tweens, our tween boy just, you know, decided to walk
pop
in,
back home.
To pop back home. So anyway, so all right, that's okay. But yeah, so what are our girls surrounding themselves with, and what are you surrounding yourself with? You know, because if you're not filling yourself with positivity, right? If you're not filling yourself, you know, with positive things, right? Then, you know, you're also emanating negativity as well,
yeah.
Right? So you're also, you know, exuding negativity. And, you know, now we've had another disruption. So right. So, so how we treat ourselves, right? So how we treat ourselves and how we view ourselves, you know, has a huge impact on our kids, mm-hmm. and on their outlook.
Yeah.
You know, the tween age is a, you know, I heard a psychologist talk about it one time. The tween age is a time when they start forming their micro communities. Okay. Which is why they want to be different from everybody else. And then they all dress the same. Okay. So, you know, but what is that, right? It's that breaking out, of, you know, not just like not just pimples, right? But like that breaking out. Was that a dad joke? It's coming up to Father's Day. That was anyway. So, all right. So I'm allowed, you know, a dad joke coming up to Father's Day. Anyway, you know, they want it's a period of self-discovery. Okay. So it's a time when they're, you know, starting to learn, what do I stand for? You know,
and differentiating themselves.
Exactly. Right. So that is, you know, part and parcel of that time. So that micro community is really important. You know, the kind of friends that they have, you know, are really important. You know, I hear a lot of parents say, you know, that there's the two extremes are, well, you know, they really need to learn what's out the world, right, you know, so that they can protect themselves from all the, you know, evils of the world. So they let their kids get exposed to all the things that are out there, right? You know, and then you've got the parents who, you know, they call them like the bubble wrap parents. You know, they want to protect their kids from everything. So they, you know, everything short of sending them away to a monastery in the Himalayan mountains. Okay, so and both extremes are not healthy. Okay, so both extremes, neither extreme is a healthy approach.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you don't want your kids to resent you, right? You know, but at the same time, you have to have good, healthy discussions with your kids about why certain things are inappropriate for them, right? You know, and why you don't, you know, no, you don't want to go, you know, you're not going to let them go to that sleepover, right? You know, it's not because you don't trust them, you know, but especially if you don't know some of the kids who are going to be there, if you don't know some of the kids that are going to be there, then, you know, you still have to be that parent, right? Or have a conversation with the parents of those kids that you don't know, right? You know, those are things that we need, you know, that we need to do as parents to be, you know, to be vigilant.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, all sorts of things.
There's a temptation there as well to start, now that they've passed a lot of learning stages, and sometimes you feel like you can be more friendly with them. There's a temptation to try to be their friend instead of being their parent. And we do them a disservice when we do that, because they really still need that guidance and that I want to say shelter, without completely sheltering them from the world. They need to have it given to them in bite-sized pieces that they can manage, and they need to be given the tools to analyze it and to recognize and be literate in the different the different ways of dealing with everything they're going to encounter.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I think that's you know, that's pretty good. Like I mean, like there's lots. We could either go on all night, or we can you know, it's amazing when, you know, you've got a lot to say. You know, it's hard to be brief, and then when you know you've got a little bit of you know, like a time limit, then it's hard to figure out what you want to say, right? So that's you know, that's the thing. All right, so on a couple of practical notes, let's see what kind of practical tip we can share today.
So, practical tips for tweens,
or just even, you know, practical household stuff. Like, what other questions we've had lately on?
Good question. Did we get questions last week?
I don't. It's actually been a really busy.
It's been a really busy time.
It has been a really busy time. Actually, it's really cool. So one of the things that we do, one of the traditions actually that we've started, is when each of our kids turns 9, right? So either so it's got to be the year that they're 9, right? Over the summer, at some point, I take them on a camping trip, and not one-on-one, you know, yep. just some alone time with Dad, and what we do is we plan out a trip, and we pack everything on our bikes. And we're really fortunate that we have a provincial park, a really nice little provincial park, not that far away from us. I mean, it's only about 5 minutes away in a car, but it's about a 20-minute bike ride. And so what we do is we pack everything on a little bike trailer, and plan out our meals
on the way.
Yep, some good hills on the way. Plan out our meals, plan out everything. So everything that we pack, we have to, it teaches them. It's really an introductory
campcraft,
an introductory campcraft survival campcraft, because if we can't pack it, or if we didn't pack it, then we got to figure out how to do without it, right? So we're just getting so
right now in preparation for that trip happening next week with our 9-year-old.
Yeah, with our 9-year-old. So that's so that's really fun. Also too, division of chores. What are we going to say about division of chores? That's another question that we have a lot.
Yeah. We divide things. I think we've talked about this before, but how we divide up kitchen duties, and we divide up laundry duties less concretely.
Yeah, right. And everything's a work in progress.
Yeah. But kitchen duties, they're pretty well laid out. So we have 2 kids that rotate for whose turn it is to cook rice, and 2 kids who rotate whose turn it is to make bread in the bread maker. And then actually it's usually in the tween age that we usually start really teaching them more to cook. Because also they get interested and they learn that, if I can make something myself, then I'm more likely to get a yes when I ask for it.
That's it, right? So good. Yeah. Cool. And other than that, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So send us your questions, at randomtanexperience@gmail.com, and the address is right there at the bottom of your screen. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear, if you've got tweens out there, how do you help your kids, help your tweens navigate through this time? So we want to hear from you. Okay, so we'll be back next week, same time, same channel, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Have a great week, everyone.